is K-12 Tech Talk. K-12 Tech Talk. The podcast by K-12 Techs for K-12 Techs. Real conversations, real arguments, and real banter on trending K-12 technology topics and issues.
Live from the somethingcool.com studios, this is the K-12 Tech Talk podcast. I am Josh. With me, as always, is Chris.
Good evening. I'm trying to be more professional.
And Mark.
Good evening, sirs.
So we, Jeremy, a little behind the curtain look here. We've just spent the last hour recording this episode with our special guest, Scott Elders. He was fantastic. Had us in stitches, had us frightened for our life. But I will say the bourbon that Jeremy sent me for the green room tonight, I've gone through entirely too much. So I'm a little giddy tonight at this point. But guys, let's tell the listeners what they have to enjoy tonight. What are we doing?
So tonight we are interviewing Scott Elder, the superintendent of Albuquerque Public Schools, about their ransomware attack in about a year and a half ago.
And Scott is more than candid. Like he didn't hold back, didn't pull any punches, had some really funny comments, was a great interview. And it's one of those things that the entire time he's speaking, I'm thinking, man, my superintendent, my assistant superintendents, they should listen to this, because this guy's been through it. He's in their role. They should listen to this, and it kind of freaks me out because I'm like on the trigger to send them an email saying, hey, here's the link to the podcast that I do.
Yeah.
So, what do you guys think? I mean, this is a fantastic interview.
How big is the school? 90,000 kids? Was that right?
73.
Okay,
Yeah.
so 70.
Yep.
My bad. 73,000 kids. But even with that, and it's at the end. But when he's talking about what would he like, kind of the recap. Yeah. Well, it's and I guess this is a spoiler, but MFA having a plan, table talks are important. And then some kind of finances, if that's in personnel or a cybersecurity budget. But that's all stuff that no matter what size school you are, you can do. There's action steps. You're going to listen to this guy, and there are action steps you can take at your school, no matter if you're 70,000 kids or not.
Yeah. And next week we're going to be interviewing a couple of other guys about how to start to take what Scott's talked about and put it into action. So it's going to be a really fun series to talk about. Hear the experience from Scott about what Albuquerque went through, and then how to actually turn this into a cyber plan.
And that's Mark's dog barking. By the way.
That's my dog barking.
No, it was a great interview.
Mark, I thought we said we were going to be professional.
I know. We wore shirts tonight. I mean,
I even wore a jacket.
So I think the hardest, and this our New Mexico listeners will appreciate this, or our Southwest listeners will appreciate this. The hard hitting, I did ask the hardest hitting, most difficult question of the evening: red or green? You will have to listen to the interview to find the answer. But I would like some of his chili.
You just gave away the red or the green.
No, I didn't. No, you can have red chili. You can have green chili. No, it is that I didn't.
I'm just saying you gave away the punchline of red or green.
No, I didn't. Whatever.
I don't know. Just have a listen. Have a listen.
It's a good interview. And listen to the next 2 weeks. Like Mark said, we've got some follow-up interviews with some pretty big people. One gentleman is the board chair of CoSN, right, Mark?
That's right.
And then we have a couple of folks from the West Coast, from pretty big districts over there, that are going to join us as well. So enjoy this interview with Scott Elder, and come back for the next 2 weeks. Share us with your friends.
Before we get started with the interview, let's talk about Provision Data Solutions. You can email Ryan R at provisionds.com. Provision Data Solutions, they can help you with your wireless, your networking. They can help you with VLAN setup, DHCP, DNS, and a whole lot more. Check out Provision Data Solutions.
So with us now, we have Mr. Scott Elder with us. He is the superintendent at Albuquerque Public School or Public School District. And before this recording, we kind of got into it and we asked him the question that you ask every resident of New Mexico, red or green. And Scott, your answer was?
I lean green. But you know what? There's nothing wrong with Christmas.
There's
nothing wrong with Christmas. And depending on the food, man, I'm telling you, put red on an enchilada, you put red on huevos rancheros, and your life is better for it.
And what surprised me is you said put green on a hamburger. I need to come out and experience some.
You haven't had a green chili cheeseburger?
No, not in Missouri.
Goodness.
What?
We have to send you some Hatch chili.
Oh, I've had Hatch. Yeah, I've roasted Hatch chilies in my kitchen, and like an idiot, didn't wear gloves, and my hands were on fire.
As long as you don't touch your mouth or your eyes, you're okay.
Yeah, or other parts.
Yeah, you get a nice hamburger, you put some green chili, and then you smother that in cheese. Oh,
sounds awesome.
I'm pretty sure. We're talking about Mexican sauces, correct?
Yeah.
We're talking about chilies.
Yeah.
Chilies. Okay.
My local Mexican restaurant, they melt American cheese. I'm pretty sure. Like
Scott, you were
pretty confident.
You were talking to two people from Missouri and one person from Boston. So this whole spice category, we probably should cut this bit short.
Yeah, my cheese is American.
Lived. You had a good New Mexico chili.
I think that's an invitation. The podcast is coming out to see Scott, and we're gonna make a tour of eating very good Mexican food.
I'm in.
We eat well. Come out there and eat your stuff too. So I love the South. I love the East Coast. Hey man, I love the food. So I'm with you guys.
Toasted ravioli here in Missouri, man.
Yeah.
So let's get into it, and barbecue. I mean, I can make some mean pulled pork. Let's get into it. We have you on here to talk about. Well, give us a little bit of background first. Let's start with the background of Albuquerque Public Schools. How big you guys are, demographics of the district, free and reduced lunch percentage, maybe,
sure,
and your history with the district.
Sure. So Albuquerque Public Schools, depending on the day, is either the 34th to the 37th largest school district in the country. We have 73,000 students. I would say that we're a minority majority. Hispanic is obviously the largest. We have also a sizable Native American population. And then we have a lot of other population, African American. We have a number of nationalities from across the world, as we're becoming a sort of a resource for a lot of the Lutheran relief services as they bring in students from Africa, students from Afghanistan, Pakistan, those areas. So we have burgeoning populations. We're 69% free reduced lunch, which is, tells you a lot. We have some of the highest performing schools in the state, and we have some of the lowest performing schools in the state. We're trying to work and improve that as hard as we can. The pandemic hit us pretty hard, but I will say our first assessments coming back indicate that we did all right during the pandemic. Obviously there's learning loss. I'm not going to pretend there wasn't, but it was not as enhanced as we saw in some other districts. So, I think we did a pretty good job. And that's, as far as me, I've been with the district since 1991. I started teaching at Highland High School as an ESL teacher and a speech and debate coach, and then just kind of the path kept going up. In 26, I was a principal at 4 schools. I did 25 years in the schools, 19 of those as a school administrator. Loved it. I had started to get an MBA. The chief operations officer passed suddenly, and the superintendent at that time didn't really want to replace him. So she said, look, would you come in as an interim? And this will give you a chance as you finish your MBA to see if this is work you really like doing, and we can kind of kick the tires on you. Surprising many people, she kept me. And then they opened up the superintendency, and I didn't apply. And then the pandemic hit, and they couldn't really continue with the search process, but they needed somebody to run the district. So they asked me to serve as the interim. And as we started to see the first vestiges of opening schools again, they reopened the search. And I said, I can't leave. It would just been the worst time to leave. So I stepped I put my hat in the ring and they gave me the job. So here we are.
Wow.
Wow. So you took over superintendent right with COVID starting.
I became the superintendent right with the beginning of COVID. And part of the rationale for that was all the work that we were doing to kind of go into hibernation, if you will.
Yeah.
Most of that was running through my office or adjacent to my office as the operations officer. So and then just trying to get things to work so that the instructional stuff could happen was really a lot of the effort.
Wow, that's great. So one of the things we brought you on here was because around the same time as COVID, you also had another serious incident in your district. And so we want to talk a little bit about your experience with ransomware and what happened and how you led the district through that situation. So do you mind just starting to kind of set us the stage of where you were when this happened and what was going on?
Sure. It was January, I want to say 14th of 2021. And it was a Wednesday. I remember that. And I got a call from my technology department. We were getting ready to start the day. And they said, we have a problem. And I said, oh, what's that? And they said, there's a bug in the system. Somebody's hacked us and we're going to have to shut down some systems. And we said, okay. So school's in session and we began to realize that they were in our student information system. And so we really had to shut down a lot. I mean, we shut down everything basically, immediately it was like, shut down everything. And, cause you got to figure
out. That's a great impression of me, Mark. That's awesome.
Yeah. No, I mean,
Josh always has scissors in his pocket in case he needs to cut cables.
Well, that was sort of the vision. I'm like, do we need to unplug things? I mean, what do we do here? And
yeah,
we did when it first hit, they said, we're going to shut down these systems. I guess my initial thought was, well, okay, we're all right. We can work through this. But as it became apparent they were in the information system, we began to talk about the ramifications of that and said, oh my gosh, we're going to have to shut down school. And so we closed school and we were closed that Thursday and Friday. We called them cyber snow days. Mm-hmm. And said we'd make them up later. And we were fortunate because that gave us the Thursday, the Friday, and the weekend. And the following Monday was the Martin Luther King holiday.
Oh,
so we had 5 days with only 3 of them really, or 2 of them impacting us instructionally to sort of get up to a point where we thought we could open the door safely.
Was a cyber snow day, was that invented because of COVID, or was that something you already had
prior? It was cyber snow day because of the hack. That was what we came up with. This is like a snow day, kids, because we couldn't do virtual learning.
Yeah,
we couldn't turn the systems on.
Right.
We have all the same issues everybody else does. Well, does this kid have access at home, and does that kid have not? And teachers weren't ready. It wasn't like we were set to just open virtually again. I mean, we thought we'd gotten past that. So, it was interesting because people didn't think about it, but once we really started thinking about it, we don't know who's present because you can't take attendance.
Right.
And gosh, what if something else happens and you have to evacuate the school? You don't know who belongs to anybody. You don't know, like if somebody shows up and says, I'm so-and-so's father, and maybe, and do we know if there's a restraining order in there that we can't see? So you don't want to hand somebody over to the wrong person.
Yeah.
And it's not like a little kid's going to say, oh, that's my dad. Sure. But I'm not supposed to see him.
Right.
So we don't know bus routes. We don't know where our buses are. Couldn't track meals. I mean, it really, all the little things that sort of make a school day function.
Right.
You couldn't, secondary school kids move from class to class. You wouldn't even know where they were in the building. So it was we had to close. And we're fortunate that it was only those few days.
And how quick? Go ahead, Mark.
No, I think we're going to ask the same thing. So you learn on a Wednesday morning that there is a rogue actor in your systems. How quickly did you make the decision about Thursday to close?
We were sure by noon we weren't going to be open the next day.
Wow. Okay.
And we were actually we may have even closed some schools early and allowed parents to come get their kids because we really weren't sure how we were going to do it. But yeah, we knew we weren't coming. we had to be careful. We understood that we were going to need to bring in some outside support.
Yep.
We were pretty much in contact with our state public education department, whose IT team was helpful up to a point, because they're actually smaller than us. So there was only so much they could offer, but they were willing to offer any support they could. We were in touch with the Federal Bureau of Investigations pretty quickly. I think at some point Homeland Security got involved, but I think they were sort of in and out. And what we knew we needed to do was get some sort of outside forensic audit done of the district. And so we had to, and that isn't cheap. And we were going to have to do an emergency procurement, and we had to move on that. And so Thursday was a day of trying to get all the pieces in place and get the people that we needed there.
Okay, so let's talk about those pieces for a second. One of the things that's been a hot topic recently in cyber is the idea of a cyber response plan or an incident response plan. Had you guys gone through that process officially to document, okay, these are my FBI contacts, these are the Homeland contacts, this is my cyber insurance policy information. If the stuff hits the fan, I'm calling these 3, 4, 5 people right away. Had you guys worked through that or tabletop that at all?
Not enough, in all honesty. We did have the cyber security, but guess what? We were in the process of negotiating that day.
You're right.
Oh.
Yeah. Timing was everything. Let's just say it shifted afterwards. And I'll tell you what, there were maybe 20 interested vendors, and at the end we had one.
Wow.
It definitely changes things. From the perspective of a superintendent, you start to worry about your bond rating.
Sure.
You start worrying about insurance rates and how much is this going to cost, and you have the ransom issue. And that whole thing is sitting on top of you, wondering what's going to happen, what are they going to ask for, and what do they have? Because you don't know. That's why you shut down and lock everything down and lock them in, so that nothing else leaves. And it really is a weird, invasive feeling. Having never been through anything like that before, but it's like someone's broken into your home, and they're still there, and you don't know where they are, and you don't know what they're trying to do, right? It's a creepy feeling. And we were coming to work on Thursday and Friday, and here's all the central office saying, what can we do? And we were able to, get some systems up so we could continue to manage our security. Make sure our fire alarms are up, make sure your cameras and alarms are going so that the buildings had some semblance of security, in case something were to happen, we would know it. But it was a wild 48 hours for sure. First 24 were very unsettling.
So that first 24 hours is really you shut the district down. Just it sounds like you're just trying to settle the dust of what's going on and how do we get everybody safely home. The next 24 hours is who do we need to bring into the situation? Right.
So that was where we started to talk about the concept of the cyber forensic, the cyber forensic audit, if you will. And we identified a vendor who had the skills and the people and could scramble and be there. I think they got there, I want to say they're there by Friday in the afternoon, and really they dug in on Saturday. But it was the days all kind of blended together, I think, for our IT people. I don't think they were getting much sleep. They were running not 24 hours, but the teams were definitely 24 hours. They did, they were burning it hard.
How big is the IT department? I don't know that we've talked about that yet. Well,
I think we have about 70 plus. I mean, it kind of depends on what you're talking about. We had a very small security team.
Sure.
And I didn't have a chief security information officer at that time, which was something we had been talking about. Our technology department had said to us, we need to really look at this. We're very concerned. And we're like, yeah, we're concerned too, but we're also concerned about learning loss. We're concerned about, trying to pay people. We're concerned about a lot of things. And at that time, well, I certainly, as a superintendent, just as a person, probably didn't get exactly what the risk was.
Sure.
I do now.
I think us IT people have at times have a hard time explaining that risk and not sounding like the little boy that cried wolf, because we hear all of these reports. Chris and I have cohorts here in Missouri that have had this happen, and it scares the hell out of us. And we can go and tell our bosses about it, but we keep talking about it month after month or week after week, however often those meetings happen, and it hasn't happened yet to us. So I can understand a superintendent not understanding the real risk of that, just because that's the nature of the beast.
Well, let me just from my perspective, there's a lot of people. I mean, there's a lot of conflicting issues that, as a school district, especially as a large urban school district, that we face. I mean, at that time, we were worried about feeding kids, clothing kids, keeping people healthy. We're trying to buy more HVAC units. We're trying to put in filters everywhere.
Right.
There was a lot going on, and everybody was saying, I need more resources. I need more resources. And everybody did need more resources.
Sure.
Of course, we had the ESSER money. So we're like, well, okay, we can do a lot of this. And so I think what I didn't realize was that this wasn't necessarily a tech problem. And that's probably where I should have been more educated than I am now. This really is a systems issue. It really is everybody's concern. So when you do those little phishing trainings, where you take your online training and then you sign off, and I understand that needs to be something that's integrated throughout the entire system. That needs to be everybody who understands that I'm part of the problem, because it's the people that are going to do something most likely unintentionally. I don't really like this one. Is not this was not somebody in the district going or some kid in the closet trying to hack and change a grade. This was a very sophisticated attack. And my message to the public was, because I think everybody wants to, what'd you do wrong? What didn't you do?
Right.
We did everything right. We didn't do anything wrong. We were attacked, and we're a school district, and we're being attacked daily by national and international entities. And the idea that there are governments out there that are funding these sort of attacks, and we're a school district.
Yeah.
We're not prepared to handle that. And nobody nationally was really, they were talking about it because you had other cases like Baltimore, Miami-Dade, and of course, most recently we've had LA Unified that's got everybody's attention. But there was a lot of things the way it happened that, looking back, I'm like, oh gosh, now I see how this could have, and I don't think we could have prevented it really, but I think I know how we could have helped prevent it.
Sure.
Certainly made it harder.
Do you know how long they were in your network before they hit the button to?
Very, very briefly. So one of the things I've learned is that they got in sometime overnight, and our people started noticing something weird, I think by 5 a.m. And so I can't remember exactly when I got the call, but it wasn't terribly late in the day. It was before noon.
Because
I'm sorry.
Some of the folks here in Missouri that have had this happen, I'm thinking of 2 districts off the top of my head in the last 18 months. They were both told the actors were in their network for 4 months, just kind of inventorying things, spreading laterally before they hit the button to encrypt things. And that I don't know what's worse, that knowing that somebody's in your network just kind of poking around, laying low for 4 months, or they got in and hit it. Both the outcomes are horrible. They're realistically they're the same outcome.
We're getting into some funny territory with me and what I could say.
Sure.
But what I'll say is the attacks come at times when we're at our weakest. Right. It happens overnight, or it happens on a holiday weekend, or it happens, and you've got a skeleton crew, and you're really relying on the systems. And maybe, maybe they had been there for a little while, but it seemed to us that we caught them fairly quickly, because things started things started happening oddly in the information system, and somebody spotted it and said and dinged it. The next thing you knew, we were locked down.
So do you have a 24/7 crew or no?
I think we have people that monitor it 24/7, but I think how many on the late graveyard shift, I think is pretty limited.
And that's what's frightening me more than anything right now is right now you have a third of my IT department in this call right now. Like I have 3 people in my department. So you have 70 and an overnight crew and you were able to spot it that quick. That's what's frightening to me.
Well, when I say I have 70, remember a lot of those are like school level technicians. They go out and work on things. I mean, and actually I think we have FTE for around 70. Whether those positions are filled, I think is probably and I'm shrinking because I have the exact same problem everybody else has.
Yeah.
The private industry pays so much better. And what's happening, of course, is our IT departments are under so much pressure now because we've sort of shifted to all of a sudden we're one-on-one. We weren't prepared to be one-on-one when the pandemic hit. And we came up with a clever solution and basically stripped every computer lab, in the schools that we could. And we're pulling iPads out from under teachers' desks and, going into closets and finding, oh, look, it's an old Mac. Turn it on. And somehow we managed to, get a device in every kid's hand. But so now they don't want to walk away from that. They've got a lot of content online. They've got a lot of stuff in the cloud. They want to be able to use it. So we're like, oh, now we're a 1-to-1 district. Yeah. Well, I didn't boost my buys for that. I didn't boost the staff for that. And it's the help desk suddenly became a real issue. And so here's our little teeny security department, and they were telling me we need more help in here. And I think we were just very fortunate that they were paying attention.
Well, you have a great CIO, Dr. Richard Bowman, fantastic CIO. I've seen a presentation by him before. Extremely impressive guy. So he's handling your tech. You now need to turn your attention to handle the community. And so would you mind talking maybe the first 24, 48 hours? What was the reaction from the community, from families and students and teachers?
Well, I think it was a little mixed. And I'll tell you, of course, from the students, it was hooray. But and maybe even some of the teachers. But the parents had a whole different opinion on it. The one of the things as a superintendent is you want to tell people what's going on. You want to educate them and let this is exactly what's happening. Here are the steps we're taking to mitigating it. But I'm being told by the FBI, no. Don't tell because they're watching you. They're watching what you're saying. They want you to give them information. They want you to say, oh, we've hired this company and here's how they're addressing it. You know what I mean? You don't tell them that.
Wow.
So one of the things I really think was important was that we reminded people, again, like I said earlier, this was not an error. This was not something that we did. We didn't open the door. Somebody attacked us. And I think what sort of helped us at the same time was our county government had been shut down for, I think, a couple of weeks at that point from a similar cyber attack.
Wow.
So the public had the concept of cyber attacks are real because they're all trying to pay their water bill and they couldn't pay their water bill because the county was open, right? So when we said, oh, we're under attack too, it wasn't something they hadn't heard. We gave as much as we could. We said, look, and we were honest. Dr. Bowman, you're right. He's good. And he said, we're hopeful we can be open on Friday, Scott, but don't count on it.
Mm-hmm.
And he said, it's really unlikely because I'm really hoping we're open next week. And as a superintendent, you think, okay, it's like malware. You just push the little malware button, your system cycles, just pushes the button, and you go.
Yeah, the easy button.
I kept thinking, why can't we just kill it? He's like, we don't even know where it is. We don't know what it is. And I'm, this is serious, And so we got out front. We talked as much as we could. And I will say that when parents were frustrated, because why can't you just take attendance on paper? We don't have attendance slips anymore.
Yeah.
Every system is really moved to online. And really the whole schedule thing, where is, I'd like to pick my child up. Where do you think he is? We're not sure.
You know where he is? Because we sure don't.
Yeah, we don't. And who are you? And can you prove it? Well, okay. You look like him. I guess you must be a relative. So it really, it was just crazy. And there were public members who said, why can't you teach? You can't teach without your fancy computers. I'm like, that's not the issue. Right. The teachers would have been fine. The teachers could have, done lessons, done activities. But again, it came down to student safety. I couldn't guarantee they weren't in the dang fire alarms and could set fire alarms off, or turn cameras off.
Yeah.
So I didn't know. So until you're not going to put your kids at risk. You're not going to put your staff at risk.
So you had external folks in there, and it sounds like law enforcement and private sector technology folks. So were you
company come in and they started a very in-depth forensic audit of all our systems. And as they begin to clear systems and say there's nothing here, they would turn those systems back on. We prioritized obviously the security and the safety systems first. You have to have
right.
Sure.
Okay. So it sounds like there's a war room, and you've got various different folks. A lot of people from within Albuquerque Public Schools, and a lot of people from without. And so, as you're going to speak to the public, as you're going to speak to your board, are you going through decisions as a team? Are you consulting with them? Like, I'm trying to understand, like, what's the decision point like with you, where you're probably used to calling the shots, and all of a sudden you've got a stranger sitting in your office saying, "Don't say that."
Yeah. We cleared everything through these people before we would write statements, and then we'd show it to them, and they'd send it back in red lines, and with suggestions usually. And you're right. I'm used to calling the shots, but one of the things I've learned as a superintendent is I don't know everything. The higher up I get, it seems the least I know. And I really do rely on people like Dr. Bowman and those people to say, here's what's happening. It was kind of funny. We were in the process of building a new data center too. So all my tech department was stashed over in these portables that we weren't using in an elementary school. And so you go over here, it's this kind of weird setup, but a lot of bustling activity and a lot of very tired people when I come down and check on them. And part of my job, I went down to check them and tell them I appreciated them and thank you for what you're doing. But also I most of the time I tried to stay away from them, because what they didn't need was me down there saying, well, why can't you just open the darn schools? I'm under a lot of pressure. The mayor called me and I need to get these schools open. And a lot of it was me sitting and doing interviews and saying, look, we are doing the best we can. We were attacked. And that message resonated. People kind of understood. And of course, then it became, is it a foreign government? And that's stuff that we won't really talk about, but the reality is we rebuff in our firewalls, rebuff foreign attacks.
Yeah.
Daily.
I think every one of us does. Like I've had to have that conversation this summer. Our temperature monitors were being hit from an outside entity. It's just the reality of what it is. And to that point, my superintendent understands that. But we've had to have conversations with faculty about, yes, some of the things that we've had to put in place are painful. They're annoying. They seem like hoops to jump through. But there's a very valid reason why we're putting those things in place. And I think explaining that can be a hurdle at times to faculty. So how did your faculty take this? Were they taking it in stride? I know they were excited about a cyber snow day, but the longer those cyber snow days go on, were they understanding with the IT department? Were they kind of towing the same line of, this is really nobody's fault, you were attacked? How was that conversation?
We had put in just recently before that multi-factor authentication, right?
Oh, you did it before. Don't tell me that. I was taking MFA at multi-factor as the saving grace.
But they were fighting the hell out of that.
Really?
Right? Now they're not.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
No, we're good with it now. I remember I thought, this is a hassle. Now I'm like, I love multi-factor authentication. Oh yeah, send the code to my phone. I don't care. Woohoo! Can't get into my systems. No, I'm very happy with that. And the teachers were really pretty good. And the union did a nice job of putting stuff out and saying we're not comfortable sending our people into schools that might not be safe. Now again, I'm telling you, we were fortunate that we had that 3 days. And then when we opened on that Tuesday, we were limping. We were going to be doing some paperwork, but we had enough systems up that we knew where kids were, and we knew the security alarms were working, and we figured we had enough workarounds. We had built workarounds. That was our student information system, and our principals and our administrative associate superintendents working to figure out what are workarounds to make us able to open. Food services was trying to figure out how they could figure out how many meals to send to each school, and we got there, and we got the bus routes that we knew we could run. We knew what they were. And then in the middle of the day, we really were pretty much able to turn most everything back on. And we only ended up losing, I think, a day or two of data because we had our backups.
To me, that'd be
huge.
like,
it was huge.
Job well done.
How many weeks are we going to lose here? Now, had that stretched out over a long period of time, I think people would have gotten frustrated. And
sure.
Where it'd be frustrating was because we had some people write us, I can't get in my grade book. I was going to do some grading. Yeah, your grade book's electronic, right? You're in the system. The system is closed. And so, but for the majority of people, really, it was pretty good. People were glad to go back.
Yeah, we want to talk about Extreme Networks. You can reach out to Dominic Mayer. I'll put his email in the podcast description. And also there's this Jefferson College. It's a college in Missouri. They have a success story with Extreme Networks. So there's a video that was made for them to talk about Extreme Networks. So check out Extreme Networks.
Okay.
Did you have any problems with the media? I know you were probably the spokesperson for the district in all of this and led those press conferences. Did the media try to get to Dr. Bowman or any of your IT staff or any staff members and try and get a different story or an unofficial story during this process?
We didn't open our IT staff to interviews, mostly because they were too damn busy.
Sure.
And that's what we told them. I'm sorry, they can't talk to you. They're trying to solve this problem, and they're working. Right. And they were tired. They were really tired. They were working. Like I said, these were very long days. These people were putting in for an extended period of time, and it didn't end at the end of the day 5 for them. They had to keep putting in these ridiculous hours for a while. They were really wiped out. The media is out there to sell newspapers and to get you to watch the news. So yeah, they were kind of bulldogging it because it was news, right?
Right. Yeah. Right.
And if they can blame somebody, or if they can, find the culprit, if they can get me to say we were attacked by, this foreign agency, and that's exciting.
Sure.
Yeah.
But we tried very hard to follow the direction we were giving, and just keep reminding people, look, we're doing the best we can. We're going to work through this. We're going to resolve it. We're hoping to be open on Tuesday. And when by Monday we had a plan for the workaround, we were able to go out and even on the holiday and say, okay, the schools will open. That Tuesday we did a press conference, and it at that point we were open. Well, it wasn't that interesting anymore. Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm. So how often were you convening the group for status updates, but also to make decisions?
That group met, I think. I didn't meet with them very often. Okay. I allowed Dr. Bowman to do that, and then he would report to me. So I would get status reports from Dr. Bowman every 4 to 6 hours, maybe. Mm-hmm. But I tried not to. What was I going to do? Like I said, you guys are joking me. What do? You could unplug something, cut wires. I don't even know if you want me doing that. So, I could make sure. What my job was to do was to make sure they had food, make sure they had drink, make sure that the air conditioning and the heating and cooling worked.
Yeah.
So that they were comfortable down there in that little dingy portable they were working in, and that was really my role. what I needed was just information so that I knew what I could say when I could say it.
Sure.
And so we told the media, look, we're not going to come to you every 10 minutes with an update. We will tell you when we have something to tell you. And you know,
so you've got your CIO, Richard Bowman, is providing you with information. In exchange, you're sending over pizza and soda.
Okay.
And in exchange, you're getting updates from the CIO of where we are. Ultimately, someone's got to make the decision of when you're ready to open the school. So, did you have metrics that you had to meet, or you're saying if we can get this, and up, then we're ready to go?
So let me be clear. So Dr. Bowman was dealing with the cyber attack and the issues of the technology. The rest of us were dealing with, okay, how do we open if we don't have it? So everybody else, we weren't just sitting around going, well, day off, let's go to lunch. More donuts for me. It was.
We'll bring the IT leftover pizza.
Yeah. Let's eat the pizza first, then we'll take what's left. No, we were trying to figure out how to do it. How do we go back to a time when you didn't have these systems, and how do you make that work? And so, our school principals were working on site, trying to figure out how they could make it. Do the parents know the pickup drop off? And what am I going to do if somebody comes in to register? What am I going to do if somebody comes in to drop their kid out? Say I'm going to move them to another school. Because we're an urban district, right? People transfer all the time. And how do you do that? So we were trying to address those issues so that by the time we got around to it on Tuesday, we had a way of making it work. And then as systems were released to us, like the busing and some framework for instruction, they could get in their grade books. Okay, things really started to get easier, because at one point we're like, look, we're just going to open the doors. We're going to do the best. We were fully prepared to print 73,000, schedules, if that's what it was going to take. And drive them around to the schools. We had a little fleet of all our mail guys were ready to go, and we could do it. It ended up not having to happen that way, but that's what we were working on. So when you say it's not like we were just sitting around waiting to meet to be told what we could say, or we were trying to figure out a way to make this work without those systems.
Okay,
it's almost like you're back at that. The first or second day of school every year is get them there, get them fed, get them home. It's almost like you're back in that mentality, but it's the middle of January, right? Like if we can get them here and know that they're here, and we can give them a lunch and feed them, and then get them home, let's consider that a success.
Yeah, you're right. I was a little hopeful they might learn something in there too, but but we had gone through so much with the pandemic and the kids being home. Honestly, there was a little, I don't want to say PTSD, because I don't know it was that severe, but there was a little sense of, we're locked up again. Right. Well, no, you're not, because you can go out and play and have fun with your friends. But we really didn't want to stay home very long. So it was, how do we get these kids back? Because we were, the same thing after the pandemic. We experienced all the issues with behavior, all the issues with kids trying to figure out how to go to school, how to be around each other. Yeah, it was really, really hard, and we were just kind of working through that in January. And to have this happen was a few steps back.
Sure.
And I think a lot of kids were afraid, they're not going to bring us back. What is this? And there was some conspiracy theorists that thought, because we're having a little COVID wave at that time, right? Because it was January and right. So there were, sure, mighty convenient that you got to send everybody home for 5 days. And it's like, well, you're right, it really was, but really it wasn't planned, but that did come up. That was one of the things that people thought we were doing. And what do? You just tell the truth and you move forward, and it worked out.
So after the fact and all this, is you're unpacking, and I'm sure this process is long. You're able to start school that next week, but your IT department and even the superintendent's office, the debrief on this process, I'm sure, is long and exhaustive between the FBI and the insurance departments. What are some lessons that you guys learned in all of this, either from preparation, something that needed to be changed policy-wise, procedure-wise? What are the big takeaways for you?
Well, MFA suddenly became not, you will have it.
Yeah.
2, we needed a chief information security officer. And so we got that going. We are a district with declining enrollment. We got punked by the pandemic and lost a ton of kids. We were facing 2 years of budget cuts rolled up into one. We'd used ESSER funds to keep us open. We were in the process of downsizing our staffs, and we were cutting departments.
Wow.
Guess who didn't get cut? And we're like, we actually need to add here. And
Wow.
so we realized that we taught, we didn't cut the school police. We didn't cut our safety funding. And we'd had this same, we'd had issues with violence in the schools. And so we realized that technology was security as well, and that we needed to really have that. The need to have some sort of, I think, governance committee that is cross-departmental, that this is not just a technology issue, that all of us have to recognize our role in keeping our information secure and being, I still get, the emails that ask me to, send them a few gift cards,
Oh,
and,
sure.
Right. And so now our IT department sends out the phishing tests. And if you actually respond to it, you get the aha, got you.
Yeah.
It's really embarrassing when you're the superintendent who's been through a cyber attack and you have to admit they got me once.
Oh,
Was it a really good one?
I was gonna say, was it a good one? I mean,
it wasn't a Nigerian prince trying to say it was one of my people saying, hey, you just got to update your information. Just click this button. I was like,
no,
does signature look good? I'm like, oh, sure. Click, stupid.
So somebody in the IT department had to tell Richard Bowman, like, you're going to go need to talk to.
I think the whole IT department wanted desperately to come up and talk. I know all the security team was just laughing and enjoying. Oh, we get to tell the superintendent we got him. I think they were thrilled. I wasn't thrilled. It's really embarrassing. And then I talk to people like you and tell the story, and so I'm spreading the joy. Right. But that stuff's important because you get, it's a moment of weakness. You're tired. You're thinking about something else. Oh, I know that name. The signature looks good. It's not, sometimes you get some and they misspell the words.
Sure.
My guys don't misspell the words. They're good. And
they're mean. Careful. They're mean.
They're good. And it's absolutely the right thing to do. And it is. Yeah, they need to be mean. Good for them. I mean, I was embarrassed, but I was actually glad because I even remember thinking, this could be, oh no. Oh, geez. Oh, and they were, when Richard came through the door with that smile, I knew, oh, brother. And like I said, I'm sure there was a group of tech guys right behind him, just desperate to run through the door and go, gotcha. So,
did you buy him pizza? Did you say, good job? Here's some
No,
pizza?
I did not buy them pizza. I didn't take them out for green chili cheeseburger. I went home
good throwback.
And grumbled a lot.
Good throwback. Yeah.
I'll remember that next time they catch me. Oh, look, if you'd stop sending me these, I'll buy you something to eat. But
So, one of the things we're going to be talking over the next 2 weeks with some other CIOs around how to prepare. And so, as we start to close up this conversation here, as the superintendent, what are some lessons that districts should start to take from this experience?
I will tell you that one, you really need to do the tabletop practices. You need to run through it. You need to have an emergency response plan in place. We were fortunate in that we had, so you asked earlier, did we have, specific contacts?
Yeah.
We had general contacts. This is who you reach out to, but we didn't have it all laid out. We do now. We did hire a a CIO, a security officer. And I think for superintendents, when I've presented on this to other superintendents, we are so stretched on our budgets. Sure. And we are really weighing in on some, you're not picking between good and bad. You're picking between this is pretty good and this is pretty good. I need to, which one am I going to do? Yeah. As a superintendent, you need to bring your board in, and your board has to understand the importance of cybersecurity, because they have things one, they're not really talking to the tech department. They're hearing from teachers, they're hearing from community members, they're hearing from parents. So they're going to sort of naturally lean towards those things because they've got a constituency. We've got to make sure they understand why we're doing this. So, for us this past year, when we cut everybody else in the district, but a few departments, including technology, one of them said, well, what's this? Why are you increasing technology? And basically the other 6 looked at that person and said, cyber attack. Oh, of course, but if you don't have that, that's something the superintendent has to take responsibility for, to bring those people along to help them understand the importance of that funding. You're not going to be able to do everything. I still have Richard still asking me for money for things. And I've had to say, we just can't. Because I can't stop doing everything else. Instruction still has to be the core of what we do. Safety is still a big deal. You just can't shut down certain systems, but we are recognizing that even though we're a comprehensive school district, just like everybody else, we want to do a lot for kids. Unless something miraculous happens with education funding, we're not going to be able to do that. And we can't ignore technology. And when we talk about technology, we're not just talking about buying the shiny devices. It's not the newest bells and whistles. It really is the infrastructure, the people, and the software that's behind that a lot of people don't see, a lot of people don't realize is there, but we have to have.
Yeah.
And that's on the superintendent to explain.
So this is kind of a weird question. Looking back on...
Well, that's a shock. You've asked so many normal ones so far.
What was the opener? Red or green?
Red or green. Yeah. But that made sense to me. Colts, the rest of the nation's going to go, what did he ask him? But for me, New Mexico, it makes sense.
My buddy Mike will appreciate that. That's all we do this for, right? So looking back on this, couple week hellacious event, looking with vision is 2020, hindsight's 2020, right? Would you have done anything different during the event? Do you have any regret on how you handled something? You would have done something differently.
Yes, in that I wish we'd had the vendor set up ahead of time. I wish we'd had a plan in place so that the vendor had some familiarity with our systems prior, so that when they come in, it's a smoother transition. These guys were great, and I think our tech department did a really, really brilliant job of getting them up to date. But I wish we had set some things up ahead of time. In that, and again, I think it just would have been smoother. I think there were some steps that could have been smoother. I'm not at all unhappy with the way it turned out. I'm not at all, because the ransom request did come in, and we were able to determine that we didn't have to pay it.
Awesome.
And so we did not.
That's great.
Awesome.
And actually, one of the things, the state of New Mexico is now considering put a piece of legislation that says we can't pay a ransom attack.
Yeah.
Which I'm not sure I think is a great idea, because they're saying, well, if you're not allowed, then they won't ask. And I'm like,
they'll still ask.
Okay, until they get something. But
they'll still ask. Yeah.
They'll still ask. Yeah. So, but that would probably be having had more practice, more training, and I wish I had understood what exactly the risk was on a bigger scale. And that's what I've enjoyed about these opportunities, to speak to other superintendents and just say, we worry about school shootings, we worry about, pandemics, we worry about education. This is just one more thing that really is a problem. And as more school districts get attacked, I really hope that the federal level gets involved.
Yeah.
Because we're just school districts. We're not prepared for some of the sophistication and some of the quite frankly, ferocity of some of these attacks.
Well, and you said it earlier. Your IT department is competing with the business world that can sometimes pay double than what a school district's paying. So it's not fair to expect a school district to be able to keep up with these type of attacks.
As long as it's publicly funded, and we've got some incredibly dedicated people who really believe they're making a difference for kids and they're willing to do it. But that gets a point where it gets ridiculous.
Sure.
Yeah.
And they're like, look, you're killing me with hours, you're killing me with pressure, and you're not paying me squat. Yeah, there's a pension at the end of it, but come on. And we the state government certainly needs to recognize that. And I've been yodeling about that now for a year because I keep reminding them when we talk about raises in education, it inevitably means the teachers and the school administrators, which God bless them, they deserve it, not complaining at all. But there's a cadre of people that exist behind the scenes at those central offices that really need to be paid as well.
Yeah.
We have to have HR, we have to have payroll, and we have to have technicians that can keep us safe.
Yeah. Are you able to say what your ransom was, what the request was, or no?
It was in the millions.
Oh.
We didn't pay it.
You didn't pay it. But you didn't pay it.
And that's awesome.
Yeah, we didn't. But I don't know what we would have done if we had been in a situation where we would have, because I don't know where that money would have come from.
Wow.
Okay.
Go ahead, Josh.
And again, if you can't answer, fine. Did you guys have a cyber policy, a cyber insurance policy?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Go ahead, Mark.
I said, the rates have gone up significantly.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I've heard, double, if not triple. Yeah.
Well, it sounds like both rates and options have dramatically changed.
Options are much limited and rates are up.
Yeah.
So we're at about time, but next week we're going to be interviewing Tom Ryan and Lenny Schad. Now, if this is your opportunity, now I know Tom Ryan was the former CIO of Albuquerque, so if you want to throw him under the bus and blame him for all of this, you're more than welcome to do that.
Do it.
No, Tom Ryan did a great job for us. He's a mountain of a man, and I like my arms attached to my body. So, no, you know what? And again, I'm not pointing fingers at anybody on this one.
Sure.
Yeah.
I'll tell you, I told them we were attacked.
Yeah.
They are working as hard as they can to break through the systems we have in place. Technology is not perfect. Human beings certainly aren't perfect.
Yeah.
I don't think we did anything wrong. I'm not blaming anybody.
Yeah.
So,
and you have the right folks at the helm in the technology department. Dr. Bowen is fantastic, and sounds like you've got a great team.
And a lot of people there. They're really, really solid. They do a tremendous job. They work incredibly hard. I don't have an issue with any of that.
Yeah, and I can say to hear your response as well, the support you gave the technology folks, it just sounds like it's a fantastic job from the leadership at Albuquerque Public Schools. So,
the worst thing you can do is blame somebody. I think.
Sure.
Now, if they're really to blame, okay, well, pull them out back and we'll deal with that. But I'm not going to come out and publicly roast somebody.
Yeah.
Look, my people work hard. I want them to know they're appreciated.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's great. Yeah. Thank you.
Managed Methods, a proud sponsor of the K-12 Tech Talk podcast. They recently hosted a panel discussion on cybersecurity and the future of learning. I'm going to put a link to that in the podcast description. That's a on-demand recording, so you can check that out. Also, they sent us over a K-12 ransomware security success kit. They can help you with your cybersecurity. So I'm going to put that in the podcast description as well. Check out Managed Methods.
We really appreciate your time, Mark. Did you have it? I'm sorry. Did you have another question?
No. Go right ahead, John.
We really appreciate your time tonight and your candor, Mr. Elder. This was awesome. We had a really, really good time. I hope you're able to go out and have a green chili cheeseburger after this is over.
Well, actually, I'm going out with the vendor. No.
Oh,
No, I'm having dinner with I'm going out with the superintendent from Silver City here. I think we're going to have a really nice dinner, and maybe it will be a green chili cheeseburger.
Maybe I'll
that
just
sounds
smother
amazing.
something.
It doesn't sound real. I don't know.
It sounds awesome. I think
all right.
You should email. We've emailed back and forth. We sent the calendar invite. Take a picture of a green chili cheeseburger and send it to us.
Oh, I will. All right, I will, and I'm gonna do better. Do better. You guys see Tom, right?
Yeah.
Next week, yeah.
Oh, he's bringing you chili. I'm gonna send you some authentic, delicious chili, and you can make your own green chili cheeseburger.
That sounds amazing. I think we just need to go to Albuquerque for a visit. We need to meet
A
Dr.
chili
Bowman.
cook-off.
Yeah,
I do have a pretty good chili recipe myself.
This
is not Texas chili, Jack. This is good stuff. We're not talking something you put on your hot dog. All right, this is chili.
My bad.
Stuff.
So up here up in Boston, we've got this hot sauce. It's called sriracha. You're welcome to come over to Boston and try it out.
Yeah, sriracha. Everybody has
sriracha. You can't find sriracha in New Mexico.
Where do you think I live? We're the
Listen,
wild west, but come on. We're not
I have nothing. I have nothing to offer to the spice conversation in New England. There's nothing.
You're gonna love green chili. You're gonna love it.
I love it.
Jars.
Awesome. Well, Scott, we appreciate your time. Thanks for joining us tonight.
Thank you very much, gentlemen. Have a good one.
Thank you.